Well, it's finally here, the end of 2020, the well-anticipated event that I think the whole world has been waiting for. Has 2020 been a write-off, or was it just another year with exceptional change and exceptional drama and crisis? Hi, welcome to the Secret Men's Business Podcast. This is Joey Busuttil, and in today's show, I'm going to be talking about 2020. It's quite ironic that here we are on New Year's Eve. This podcast is released on the 31st, and the end of the year's here, and there's so many people talking about the excitement about ending the year. For me personally, I actually had a really good year. It's weird, isn't it? Like, I feel like 2020 has been one of my best years I've ever had. I'm not sure if it's because created a lot of content, I created a lot of projects, I completed things that I've been putting on hold for a long time, or if I allowed my body and my mind and probably my soul to have some time out. I think it's more that part, the later part. I quite enjoyed slowing my life down. I've, traditionally been a go-getter, and I found actually not having to leave the house quite a beautiful change. It's quite weird actually to think that I really invested in the lockdown. Like, I remember that on the 13th of March, 2020, I was supposed to fly to Queensland, the Gold Coast, to go to a conference, and I decided not to go because the virus was spreading a bit faster than I had hoped. And having a medical condition, I decided I'd, look after myself. So I went into lockdown that day. I had that day off and just watched Netflix and just chilled out. But then the next day, something sort of happened, and I don't really understand what or how it happened. I sort of woke up that day with a clear vision of the fact that this is an opportunity to actually use this time and space to do something different. Again, I couldn't tell you how or where that came from. It just came. I felt like it was part of me. So I knew that I was working on a men's support group, Secret Men's Business. I knew that I was doing a podcast, this podcast, but it wasn't really anything big. It was just like a little thing that I was doing on the side from when, work gave me some space. But for some reason, some sort of switch got turned on, and I became really sort of fixated with this project. And I thought, oh my God, look at all this time I've got now, because I don't have to drive to work anymore. And I don't have to like do all this stuff, like get up early to have a shower and, look good for work. I could just, sleep in, get up, do some project work, then see my clients online. And everything seemed easier. It's something I probably haven't felt or experienced for a very long time. I guess I always felt that there was so much going on because I am pretty active, and I guess time was really, really limited, like trying to see friends and family, trying to work, trying to go to the gym, trying to do all these things. I did feel a little bit overwhelmed for many, many years as technology and the world sped up. But COVID came about at a really good time. It allowed me to stop and notice and embrace things that I probably have been avoiding, and to, surrender and to relax and to let my body just be. And it worked. It worked. What I found uncomfortable was actually realizing that other people weren't experiencing what I was experiencing. And that sort of like made me feel a little bit overwhelmed with what can I do to help them. And I knew that the men's group was there, but it was really interesting because I just thought that everyone else was going to realize how amazing having this break was. I guess I didn't think about the cost for each individual, for families, for people that are got anxiety or depression and live on their own, or people that depended on their job. I didn't really think about that at the beginning. So I allowed myself to be open and to absorb all that information quite quickly and be supportive as much as I can. Um, One of the biggest things 2020 really introduced into my life was self-acceptance. I always knew that I was on a path of trying to accept everything about myself, to see myself as the star, to be whole, to accept the good things and the bad things, because I'd done some work on that when I was disabled with my medical condition. Learning how to walk again was quite uncomfortable. Like, it was quite embarrassing. It was quite emotional. I got quite angry. And my therapist at the time was really focusing on me accepting what was true. the moment, leaning in and surrendering to what was true, the moment. And it was interesting because my mind wanted to always go to the past and the future. Oh my God, why can't I go dancing? Or I'm not going to run again. All that sort of tangible distance that wasn't allowing me to sit in the moment that was real, the moment that told me that right then, right now, I couldn't walk. Why am I not accepting this? So we worked hard on that. It took a while. And once I accepted that, I think that skill helped me to understand COVID, because on the 13th of March, I went into that space really quickly, just surrender and just accept. So I probably did naively think that other people could do that quite easily as well. And, I probably thought that other people were going to find it comfortable. But even within my own home, I realized that other people that I was sharing with weren't doing it, so it caused some conflict. So I had to learn to compromise and to listen and to be open to other people. So, these are some of the things that I think 2020 really brought us. I know that lots of people would say it was uncomfortable and the whole toilet paper debacle and the freedom that we had and all the conspiracy theories. And, I did delve into the rabbit hole of the conspiracy theories for a little tiny bit. And, I copped some flack from some of my close friends, and that made me really defensive. But after thinking about it, I thought, okay, you know what? This is really wasting some of my time, going onto YouTube and reading and watching all these conspiracies, and it's causing me to be uncomfortable and nervous and scared. So I pretty much gave that up probably about 4 weeks in, so sometime in April, and just focused on me. When do we get a chance to focus on ourselves? Totally. Not very often. So I really embraced that and focused on me. I focused on putting challenges on myself. Like, I built a computer. Can you believe it? I can't. I built a computer. I allowed myself to pull a computer I was going to throw away apart, and I took the time and the patience to learn what needed to happen to fix it and to rebuild it. Now, in the past, I would not have ever embraced such a task, ever. I probably would have heard the voice in my head saying, you can't do that. But I had time, and I thought, okay, I've got the time to be patient. Okay, I've got the time to be patient and to be open. So I read and I learned, and it happened. And it happened quite amazingly. I was so shocked that I did it. So then I thought, what else can I do? So I wanted to learn how to edit and how to make videos and how to, use graphics like Adobe and all that. And that's something that I've been scared of for a long time. I've been uncomfortable, not scared, uncomfortable is a good word. So I embraced that, and I used all the time to watch tutorials and to slowly start creating content and all that. And I realized that I quite liked it a lot. So I started buying programs and apps, and I started creating. And the funny thing is that that process, that world that I was entering, the creativity world, the relaxed, I guess, surrendering world, made me forget about what was happening outside. It made me forget about, I guess, all the news and all the Trump and all the anger and all the fear. It made me forget about all that, and I just focused on myself. And I was able to utilize that then with my clients and with my friends that I connected with. I found 2020 to be a grounding time. It allowed me to be more focused and very particular about what I wanted to achieve and accomplish. Again, something I've never done before. Here I am, a man over 50 who, thought was on the right track, but really coronavirus 2020 showed me that there was so much more to learn, so much more to embrace, to allow myself to be comfortable even in the uncomfort, to be open to possibility even when I want to control as much as I can. 2020 was really about adapting and letting go of that control. And I guess for some of us, it was hard. I know that there were certain things that I probably wanted to control, but they were little things that were stupid. And so I found them silly. That, like, I, for example, was really upset and annoyed with the fact that I couldn't go to America because I was supposed to go on a trip this year. And that sort of upset me. But then, you realize that people are dying and there's this situation going on. And you can easily surrender to that and let it go, and you can find alternatives to actually make what you were going to do work. So, the conference went online, I bought a ticket, I got a refund for my flights and my accommodation in LA, and life goes on. That's the interesting thing about this. Life goes on for those that aren't sick. Life goes on for those that aren't impacted. Life goes on for those that feel restricted. Life goes on because it always goes on. Every tick of the clock is another moment in our life. So it's interesting how in the past I would have wasted time, but this time I didn't waste time. And I really feel proud that I can say that 2020 was a really well utilized year. Like, I really utilized every bit of that time. Like, working in my business and then working on Secret Men's business, I didn't realize at the time that I was doing sometimes 14-hour days, but I was happy and I was okay with that. And I was able to still get my self-care and downtime, but I was doing something that I really enjoyed, which I didn't feel was, you know, exhausting, or I didn't feel like I was wasting time watching Netflix or anything like that. I just felt present. I felt in the moment. Now, that could have been just because I was in a house and I didn't leave. I mean, if you are going to stay in a house, basically 1 or 2 rooms, you are going to feel present. You're going to notice everything on the wall. You're going to notice everything around you. And, if you do that for a few months, remember, 13th of March all the way to November, I was in lockdown. It's a long time. It's almost the whole year. So I became quite comfortable in that space and present. I became quite aware. I was open to the fact that I was saving money. I was open to the fact that I didn't need as much because everything I had was just me doing. I didn't need to have, tangible things that I had to pay for or hold on to. I was the entertainment. I was all I needed. So that was really quite nice. But the most important thing that really struck me was, for the first time ever, I realized, or I connected with my purpose. Now, I've always known that I'm meant to help people in some way, but this year I found my direction and my purpose. And it's hard to explain because I've tried to understand it myself. Like, why all of a sudden do I feel driven to do something? Was it just the timing? Was it that I was in lockdown? I don't think so. I think it was more to do with the fact that something inside of me opened up and allowed me to follow a path. And that path was in tune with my values. And so everything around it was easy. It was easy for me to focus on men's health. It was easy for me to focus on suicide prevention. It was easy for me to focus on helping others around anxiety and depression in a forum online. It was easy because I felt as if this was what I was waiting for all my life. So I easily slipped into that role without doubt or hesitation, which, like I said, it's something I've never experienced before. Normally there's a bit of doubt. Normally there's a voice in my head. Normally there's all those questions, what ifs. I didn't have any of that, and I still don't. So that was nice. That was a really nice feeling to have this drive to do something where I had no experience, and to allow my creative energy to create all these, ideas like fireworks going off, and then to see them all come into fruition was amazing. You know, Secret Men's business was created to help men deal with anxiety, depression, mental health issues back in 2014. Jump to 2019, I decided, as a way to, I guess, heal myself after a few things that have occurred in my life, I decided to do a podcast. So that started gaining momentum. And then here comes the coronavirus in 2020, and the Secret Men's business explodes. So then my mind was just thinking, okay, how else can we make this easy? What can we do? So I had this idea to do a Secret Men's business channel on YouTube. Now, I had no idea about YouTube. I have no idea what that all meant, but I knew that that was something I wanted to do. And, to see the way that I allowed my mind to blueprint it, allowed myself to ask for volunteers, allowed their ideas to be part of it, allowed it to actually be created, again, is mind blowing. I feel now that I can achieve and accomplish anything from that. That gave me permission just to not doubt myself. And that's such a big thing for all of us, that we create these restrictions in our own minds, and that's what stops us from living the life that we want. Sometimes we get comfortable with the complaining, or we get comfortable with being a victim or blaming, when in reality, everything is all about action. Now, I'm putting my hand up to say that I have done this all my life too. So, again, trying to explain to you how this happened, I can't. I really just believe that it was the synchronicity of time and being in the right place. So, there was a lot of creation, a lot of enjoyment in that. And then, I guess on the flip side of that came the news that my mother had cancer. And as much as I understand grief, and I've lost a lot of people in my life, as much as I understand the word cancer, I think that there was a sense of denial that anything was going to happen to her. As the weeks went on, as the months went on, and we were in our little lockdown, I was living with them. And I felt that everything that we were doing, everything that was happening, didn't involve the cancer word. And so as the months got closer to the end of the year, I thought, okay, this is okay, we're going to get there. We're going to get through this. And then at the end of November, which isn't that long ago, it really escalated. It really became prominent. It entered every part of our lives. It entered every space in this house. And my mum went from being able to do things to be able to do nothing. So here we are at the end of December, and she now is in hospital and probably hasn't got long to go. In a month, in a very short period, what I thought was a good year became a trying year. I still think 2020 was one of the best years because I had the opportunity, and I feel blessed to be in this lockdown with my mum. So I got to spend time with her and get to really know her. I always think there's a reason for everything. You know, why would I be happy to be living with my mum during lockdown? Well, because of this. I got to share some moments with her, fight with her, to laugh with her. So I feel this comfort inside of me. Sure, I feel emotional. I can feel the emotion in me right now, knowing that she hasn't got long to live. I also feel a little bit overwhelmed, knowing that I feel very close to her and it's going to be odd not having her. I mean, besides, your bestest of friends, the people that you are closest to are your family. So to know that the matriarch, the person in charge, the person that you turn to when you want to bitch or complain is going to go is really hard for me to comprehend. It's sort of like a numbing feeling. And I'm sure many of you have experienced people, parents, friends passing. But, as a therapist, I now fully understand that it is such a personal experience to go through. It's such a unique thing to know that something has shifted and that someone that brought you into the world is now leaving the world. I've been able to utilize my skills or my experiences when it was with my medical condition with this. I mean, I'm surrendering to the fact that everyone has to pass. I'm surrendering to the fact that death isn't the end. I'm surrendering to the fact that this is part of life and the experience. And it's interesting that when I think back into the past, how far away it seems. How far away it seems me being a young boy or being a teenager or me becoming a man. And how funny that when I was there, how far away this seemed. The moment that I need to prepare to say goodbye to my mum. The moment that I need to start acknowledging that when she goes and when dad goes, I might be next. It's me leading up to that role myself. It's so far away, isn't it, when you think about childhood and then you think about this? I mean, I really thought that it was going to take such a long time to get to this point, but we're here. We're here now. So it's not long at all. It's now real. And the interesting thing for me is that I think that I've done a lot of preparing for this moment, like throughout the whole year. But watching my dad and my siblings, they have not done the work. And so watching them deal with their emotions has been interesting. And I've just been watching and supporting them from a distance because I know that everyone goes through their own. There's all the different stages. I mean, for me, I know that it's okay to pass. I know it's okay to move forward. I know that it's okay for the circle of life to to complete itself. I know that, but there seems to be an urgency for them to go back to things being okay in the world, to be normal. There's a hope that she's going to recover, even though they're watching this woman deteriorate and watching the cancer eat her body and watching her body just stop working, going into lockdown failure. And they're still hoping. And so rather than me trying to convince them, I just let them experience what they need to experience. And they need to learn to deal with their own pain and grief in their own way. And it's all about being there for each other. So even though that sounds sad, I still consider that to be a gift. Call me crazy, but I still consider it to be a gift, something that I have learned that helps me to let go even further with expectations. It helps me to let go even further my control and to allow myself to move into, 2021, into a new dimension in a way, 5D, 4D, which is a high vibration of people being of service, where people are learning to let go of their egos, to let go of their need for materialism and for the need to be accepted by everyone else, and just to look at themselves and find that acceptance within themselves, to look at themselves and accept within themselves that they're okay, that they don't need 1,000,000,000 things, that they can actually just deal with everything with themselves, that life doesn't need to be complicated. That's the gift that 2020 gave me, that I learned that life doesn't need to be complicated, that we complicate it. We complicate it by what we want all the time. We complicate it by always wanting to be right all the time. We complicate it by trying, to prove to everyone that our opinion is important and it needs to be heard, when all of those things are just noise. We forget sometimes that the simplest way to measure everything is, are you happy? And I'm happy this year. I find that even through the torment of seeing my mother get sick, I'm happy because it's a rare, beautiful gift to be close and present with someone that you love, even though it's death. She brought me into the world and she was such a rock for me when I was unable to walk and unable to do half the things that I could do because of my medical condition. And it's a gift for me to be here and to be a witness to her life, to be a part of her life. I wanted to do this podcast not to talk about my life really, but just to share the importance of our life stories. Not to take these emotional, so deeply connected experiences for granted, to understand that every moment that we have is really a message of some sort. I think that we are so consumed now, me included, in distractions and things that are going fast that we stop only for the things that we think that are valuable. Like, we sometimes think that Netflix is more important than looking at ourselves, which is odd because I know I do that. But when you do stop, when you give yourself permission and when you sit and when you feel it and when you experience all the emotions and you find that wholeness, holy Jesus, it is such an amazing feeling to feel free, to have nothing worry or upset you because you are the only one that's important. All of that stuff out there is just noise. We can't control the noise. We can only control what we do and what we feel and how we behave and what we perceive. And it took a long time, but when I got there, I just really just wanted to share it with everyone. I wanted to share that experience with everyone. But I realized that everyone has to do their own journey to get there. I realized that I couldn't just tell my mum to do it and she could get there like that. I realized that she had to choose to do it. And if she didn't want to do it, it's okay. The thing I learned the most about 2020 was that regardless of what we think we know nothing. And what we don't know, we will learn. That's such an amazing thing to realize and to let go of, that expectation of being perfect or the expectation of fitting in. What we don't know doesn't matter because we will learn what we don't know and it becomes normal. It'll just come by itself. I learned how to build a computer. What I don't know became normal. So that is something precious and special and unique that I don't think other years are going to give us. I think if we can learn anything about 2020, we need to move into 2021 with a much more grounded, holistic, humble approach to the way we see the world and the way we see time, the way we see family, but more importantly, the way that we see ourselves. To let ourselves, just be, to understand that our flaws and our faults and our mistakes and our things that we don't like are just things that have approached us to make us learn. Everything that we do comes with a lesson. Everything that we do comes with a reason. But sometimes we don't realize, sometimes we don't think or ponder about that. We just act automatically, and then we want to blame or we want to get angry, and all of that is just a waste of time. Before I finish, I really just want to thank everyone. I've said thank you so many times, and I will continue to say thank you. Thank you so much for embracing the concept of Secret Men's Business, for acknowledging that we are here to help men evolve and to find self-acceptance, but even allow women to help us understand ourselves even better. To allow us to let everyone in without judgment or criticism, to be open to everyone's possibilities, to not pigeonhole or to expect anyone to be what we want them to be. Again, 2020 has taught me that. It's taught me to leave everything that I knew behind and to be present to the beauty of everything in the moment. It's such a beautiful feeling. I wish everyone a fantastic 2021. Again, I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I can feel my emotions welling up, so I better go so I can have a bit of a cry privately. I love you all unconditionally through the heart, and I really look forward to sharing and being with you in 2021 for the growth and expansion of Secret Men's Business. Thank you, everyone. Bye.